One element of modern music production which can be tricky to master is adding some rhythmic or modulated effect animation to a sound. I like to call this ear candy. Let me show you an example of what I mean.
First, let's have a listen to the sequence without any effects applied. Now, I'll start to add in some of the ear candy, and have a listen for some of the sporadic effects that kind of dance in and out of the sequence. With Omnisphere 2, we can have up to 16 different effects per patch, and that's a lot. And we can freely modulate the parameters of those effects by using the Flex Mod and the Mod Matrix. Let's show you how I use those to create the ear candy for this patch. I'm going to start with the original unaffected patch, which is using an arpeggiator to play a melodic phrase. The first thing I did is I added a BPM delay to the aux rack and set the mix to full. Now we won't hear this effect just yet until you actually send it some signal, and you do that by turning up the aux send amount either from rack A, rack B, or from the common aux send here. Okay, now we can hear the delay effect on the patch, but I don't actually want this effect to be on all the time. I just want to send one or two notes from the sequence to the effect and add a splash of the effect occasionally. I can do this by right-clicking on the aux send slider and assigning it to a mod envelope. Then I enabled loop and sync and set it to legato so that the envelope doesn't re-trigger with each of the notes in my arpeggio. I also slowed the speed down to about 0.25 or 1/4 speed so I could keep the length of the envelope that I was working with pretty short. In the envelope zoom page, I created an envelope that turns on the aux send for just a moment by adding points and locking them to a specific 16th note value using the snap edit function over here. Now I'll play that arpeggio, and you'll hear that effect get added at just that one spot. I could also choose whether to send the audio pre or post the effects of this rack by using the pre-post switch, which is up here. And this can allow for some really interesting variations in the sound. Have a listen to this percussion part, and what I'm doing on this is using the mod envelope to change the mix amount of the Toxic Smasher, as well as send a post-effects aux send from this effects rack A, which feeds into the aux rack radio delay. So I'm getting a delay that has an occasional grit or distortion on it. I use the same process on this bass arp to get a heavy gated sounding proverb by changing the mix amount. And now let's listen to what this sequence sounds like with all three of these elements together. A couple of features just added include a bypass all effects function, which you can access by pressing this button right here, and the ability to change the order and routing of the effects in the rack by clicking and dragging the effect to a new location like this.
Try out some of these techniques I've just shown you to add some ear candy to your sound, and I'll see you soon with some more creative tips.